survive. DJ Lizzy, David J. Girl, break me up with your bubble. Give me good wine with your bubble. Champion things with your bubble. No long things for your bubble. Champion bubble, champion bubble, champion bubble, champion bubble, champion bubble, champion bubble. With your bubble. Give me wine one time. Feed me sweet lies one time. Said she wanna freak with the dog. Champion. She wanna ride with the man, smoke with the man.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Will Motivation, back with another video. And in today's video, we are talking about, can an engineer, or specifically a software engineer, afford a Lamborghini? So can a software engineer afford a Lamborghini? So that's going to be our topic. Now, in case you're wondering who I am, what qualifies me to talk about this topic? Well, I am a software engineer and I own a Lamborghini. And like I said earlier, my name is Will Motivation. And I like to share my experiences owning some of the supercars that I own. Like I have a Ferrari F8, I have this Lamborghini Huracan EVO, I've got a Hellcat Red Eye, and a couple of cool Audis. But as I hit the throttle, but I like to share those experiences, and more importantly, I like to share how I am able to afford these supercars and some topics and themes related to that. Because if I was someone watching YouTube, well, I do watch YouTube, but you know, before I had the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris and that kind of thing, I would really want to know how different people are able to afford those supercars. What do they do for a living? How do they do it? And I would not get tired of that, because every different person that may have the same car, it's a different person, and they probably have a different story. So I like to share my story with those of you guys that care, because maybe you want to have a car like this one day. Because it's one thing to like see the cars on YouTube, which is almost becoming a normal thing, but I don't think people realize how attainable these cars really are. Even though they are expensive, they are attainable. You can get a car like this if you want one. You just have to put in the work. So that leads me to the subject of today's video. Can a software engineer afford a Lamborghini? And the short answer is yes. You study software engineering or computer science in college, or even you learn it through different means, like, you know, trade school or different courses, and you get good at it. The answer is yes. You can afford a Lamborghini or an exotic. There we go. Turn off the muffler so you guys can hear me. Now, let me explain something though, right? So I'm giving you the short answer that yes, it is possible. But let me explain how, because you can't just say, oh, okay, I'm gonna be a software engineer, I'm gonna go get a job as a computer programmer, and then I'm automatically going to be able to afford a Lamborghini. So it's not that easy. You actually need to learn the right skills as a software engineer, and you need to look for either the right opportunity as a software engineer, or you can do like I did, is I used my software engineering skills to build software and build a company around the software, and then that company generates enough money for me to be able to afford my Lamborghini and the other cars in my garage. And it also afforded me the opportunity, even before the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris and stuff, it afforded me the opportunity to become an investor, because I would not feel comfortable owning a Lamborghini without some investments to cover the expenses with that Lamborghini. So you got to learn the right skills, and you got to find the right opportunity. Now, I actually work with the software that I built. I built a social network, and companies just organically came to me and asked me to for the social network that I built. Companies came and they asked me if they could access the people within my social network to provide them with job opportunities. So I actually have worked with some of the biggest companies in the world to help those companies find software engineers. And so I have an idea of how much these software engineers can make coming out of college, and even more if they're experienced. So for example, I work with companies like Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, LinkedIn, even Facebook has called me and asked me for assistance. Google I've worked with. So all of these different companies, if you are a senior engineer, senior software engineer or software architect at one of these companies, you can make well over $250,000 per year. So what does $250,000 per year boil down to per month? Well, that's easy. It's a little over $20,000 per month. And, you got to take your taxes out. But let's say you take your taxes out and you're left with $15,000 a month. Well, if you make $15,000 a month after taxes, you could easily afford a Lamborghini, because a Lamborghini payment is going to be anywhere from $1,500 a month, probably up to $5,000 a month. So now, like I said, I'm not advising you to just run out and buy a Lamborghini once you become a software engineer and you're making that good money, but you can do it. So one route is become a software engineer and to get and land a high-paying job as a software engineer. But most likely, when you first start, you might, if you get a good job, as a software engineer, you know what you're doing, you'll probably get a six-figure job, like making $100,000 or a little bit more than $100,000. But then every year, you usually will get a salary bump, so you'll be making more money every year. And then when you really get the salary bumps, and I did this as a software engineer as well. Like I worked in corporate America for about 9 years before I started my own company. The way you get the really big bumps in pay is when you jump companies. So let's say you start at one company and you start out making $100,000 a year, then you got a couple of raises, and then you're at $107,000 per year or $110,000. Then you get a big jump and you start talking to other companies that want to recruit you because you've been working there for 3 years. You done got your skills up, and maybe you got a specialization in a certain type of software engineering or software development, a certain language. And then recruiters start calling you and say, hey, why don't you come to this other company? I can get you a salary increase. And then you go from maybe making $110,000 a year to maybe making $140,000 a year, just as an example, right? And then you work there 3 or 4 years, and then you make the jump again, and your salary keeps increasing. Or the company that you stay at, they want to keep you, so they make sure to pay you what you're worth. So that's the one route that you can take as a software engineer, is to work for a company that can pay you well and to choose the right skills. So when I say software engineering, like, you can go to school and you can major in computer science or IT and that kind of thing, but there's a lot of different specializations and areas you can go into. Some areas pay more than other areas, so you want to definitely do your research. And then also, if you're a software engineer, knowing some languages pays more than others. So a couple of years ago, when I did the research on software engineering and software development languages, Perl as a programming language was at the top of the list for highest paid software engineers, or software engineers that know the programming language called Perl. And coincidentally, guess what language I write code in? I write code in Perl. Like I'm a Perl. I write code in other languages like Java and stuff like that. But most of the code that I've written, like for my own product, has been in Perl. And so having that expertise, if I went and got a job writing code in Perl, I could still afford this Lamborghini. Let's talk about the second route you can take as a software engineer to be able to afford a Lamborghini, or basically make a lot of money, and that is to start your own business. And I'm going to tell you actually the best way to do that, because maybe you're a software engineer, you are a software engineer, and you want to get to that next level. You want to start your own business, but maybe you don't even know what kind of business to start. So what's important is that you learn the right skills that can allow you to start a business that has a low barrier to entry. And those businesses that have the lowest barrier to entry are basically developing software for other businesses or developing software for general market consumers. And the best way to do that is through internet software or online software. So basically websites, apps for mobile devices. If you learn how to do that type of software development, then that lowers the barrier of entry for you to create a business building apps or building websites or web-based software that people can use, and then you can get paid off of it. So that's what I did. I created an online, like I said, a social network. When I was working my day job and my 9 to 5, I learned how to develop software using Perl. And then what I learned is I used it to start making my own websites. I was like, oh, okay. First, I thought I was going to develop software for other people. Like, that was my default idea. So I'll build software for other people to use it. I don't know what kind yet, but I never had a good idea for that. But then I started thinking, I'm going to make something that I would use. I would use a social network to stay in touch with my classmates. A website came around called classmates.com, and I was like, this is cool, but I'd rather stay in touch with my college classmates. So I created an alumni network. Really, really easy, to be honest. Like, the code that I had to write, I had to be clever. Like, I was really clever with how I built my software, and some of the challenges were not that easy. But overall, developing the software that I developed was actually easy, but I had a good idea. And that idea came from a need that I had that I wanted to solve. And so I built the software. Then I built it over, a long period of time, but the initial website that I created, only took me like a few weeks to build it. It didn't cost me hardly any money. Like, I think my investment was maybe like, I had to buy a server that was probably like $30 a month. These people, when you drive a Lamborghini, people get mad sometimes and they don't want to let you pass them or go around them and stuff. But it's all good. Alright, so you want to learn while you're at the day job. You want to learn technology that you can use to start your own business, either building ideas that you have or solving problems that other people have. So sometimes you start doing work for people on the side and making money. You can make money that way, right? People always are looking for somebody that can build an app. It's probably hundreds of you guys that have ideas, and you're like, man, I wish I could find somebody to build an app for me, and then we could be millionaires, right? Well, if you're the person that learns how to build the app, and somebody else asks you to build the app, then you can be a partner with them. So when that thing blows up, you build the software, they do everything else, then you all both become millionaires, right? Or you learn how to do that software, building their app, and then you come up with your own idea that can leverage the software that you built. So in my opinion, becoming a software engineer, in my opinion, is the easiest way to get rich if you know how to build software. Because you can get rich working for a company, or you can get rich doing your own thing because you know how to build software. So with that being said, my answer to the question is yes. If you're a software engineer, you can definitely afford a Lamborghini. Just choose the right technology. Really know what you're doing. I mean, that's very important, because a lot of people just go through the motions of getting the degree or going through a course, but they don't really love it. They don't really get into it. They don't really learn it to a point where they can actually apply it. So you really got to know what you're doing so that you can apply what you learn, and then you got to get to work using that learning. So I like to encourage people to consider this as a career. It has served me very well. Being able to generate income, solve problems, and achieve my dreams. With that being said, let me turn on my soundtrack.
It's the one and only Floyd Money Mayweather. I'm here to tell you guys to go to Wheel Motivation. The exotic cars is crazy. I've been watching this show for a little while now and it's growing. But we need everybody else to subscribe to Wheel Motivation and support Will. I'm supporting them. You do the same.